Hey everyone, welcome to Design Underground episode 9. I'm Rob, Descendent Irving. Sitting next to me is Michael Smitty Smith.
How you doing?
Tell me a little about yourself, Michael. They haven't met you before. This is new.
How you doing? My name is Michael Smith. I go as Smitty. I'm a UI, UX designer. I design games for mobile, console. Actually, used to work at Rosetta Stone and designed stuff for their language learning software.
Cool. Well, we'll get to do a full interview with you, I'm sure, in the upcoming weeks, because I know that Mr. Morlan is constantly seeking out employees to sit down and chat with so everyone can get to know you. But the reason our esteemed UI artist is with us today is last week we got to talk about the HUD. Well, today we're going to talk about the HUD with the guy who built it and respond to some of your feedback, because this is kind of how we work.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, we get to interact with these people constantly and hear their ideas and hear their feedback and actually respond to it and adjust for it.
Should be some fun.
It should be. So, the first thing that we're going to address, because some people here and there have said this in other situations as well, sometimes you'll see in the comments, Descent did this, but you did this. And the answer to that one is always, 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 A, trust us a little bit, because we're pretty good at this. But also, it's just that we are going to evolve some, because we have, A, more information to show. You saw how much you had to cram into that HUD.
Yes.
The old Descent HUD only had a few windows, because it didn't need that much. We have more going on. It took him a while to wrap his head around getting all those things displayed on screen. But, so, yes, you're going to see some departures from Descent, but partially it's to deal with what we have to do in the game. Partially, it's because we have more pixels to push around. Descent was limited back in the day because those monitors, I mean, like the pixels were like that big.
Yep.
So you can only draw so much on the screen. We can draw anything we want, which means we can make our HUD more complex but also more readable. And keeping things to the center of the screen is very much modern game theory as far as HUDs. The other thing that we wanted to say about that is that we're still going to be playtesting it constantly as we get things online. So things will evolve, and if things don't work, we're more than willing to adjust them.
Yes.
So the first thing that came up in the feedback frequently was the dreaded radar question, because we didn't really talk about the radar last week. So here's our radar. Now, let me reassure you, because we have talked about this at length in the office. The radar is not going to be here's everybody around you, just in absolute positioning, so there are no surprises, because that would suck. That would not be Descenty at all. So the radar is more built for immediate information in front of you, so if someone is moving in your view, then they would be on your radar. So you know their relative position. That's fine. That's not going to detract from Descent. But it also is going to be feeding you information from your other ships. So if your scouts are out there running around, they can tell you that there's a battle going on way over here, and we can show that on your radar. We can show where you've dropped a camera, for instance, the direction of that camera. Now, talk a little bit about how you want to display the 3D-ness of ships. I see you've got floating dots and underneath dots. Are we going to do more with that to make it look more 3D so you can sort of get a feel for their altitude?
Yes, so I plan to have the radar be in perspective on the HUD, so that as you tilt up or down, the disk would tilt up or down,
cool.
Sort of showing you your 360 degree freedom in space, and giving you a sort of idea of where your orientation is. The dots would also give you a sort of brief glimpse of, are they above you, are they below you, and where they are in relation to the center of the nav.
That's cool. One of the suggestions on our forums was that you have one color bar for things that are above the plane, one color bar for things that are below, and one would look more shadowed and one would look brighter, which gives you a good feel for underneath versus above you, which, hey, sounds like a good suggestion to me. So the radar is not going to be the magical find everybody behind walls thing. It's not going to stop you from ambushing somebody. It's not going to detect somebody who's not moving and waiting for you in the next room. So don't panic yet. We definitely will be refining that as we go because there's going to be a lot of information that can display for your gameplay in addition to just where the guys around you are.
Yes.
Because, I mean, we are keying in on a lot of the team-based gameplay, so we want that to have value. So, next thing, the icons for the guns and missiles. They were totally 3D in Descent. Are you going to make them 3D?
So the idea right now is that the pickups, and I don't know if you guys have talked about the pickups, and maybe on the blog you've seen some of the early progress on those. Those are going to be in 3D. There's going to be glowing on the in the world space, and so I don't want to have that clash with objects in the HUD, especially in a game like Descent where it's fast-paced, you're spinning around in all sorts of directions, and the HUD could interpose with real-world objects. So I want to have some contrast between 3D objects in the real 3D space and objects in your HUD. So I was thinking of having them flat icons, but definitely sharing some similarity to the actual real world.
Cool.
Piece of art.
See, now doesn't that sound like a very sensible philosophy there? It is. There is a lot of information to process, and being able to tell what's in the world, what's your information is very important. So we want to keep that happy. Let's see. What is the next thing? Oh, a very good point, and I don't have names written down on here, but if you read our forums, which you totally should be doing, there is a good feedback both in the underground thread and in the general chat about the HUD. One of the questions was, in most airplane cockpits, the idea of the HUD is that it's center out. Mm-hmm. All the information that you need is in your view. You need to be looking forward. You don't have a lot of time to scan away from it unless you're looking at something less important that you're not looking at very frequently. So, and we have kind of a left to right approach to the bottom of our HUD, which is very FPS oriented. So the suggestion was that maybe we put the guns and missiles down in the center of the HUD. Mm-hmm. So they would be right around the radar, and the other information, which is less frequently accessed, would then move to the outsides. And I think that's a great plan. How do you feel about that?
I think that's a good idea too. I mean, I think that's where the community comes in. It helps make some good decisions, some cool advice. So yeah, I think I'll take
Why didn't we think of that?
I'll take that into consideration, and maybe you'll see a change.
New HUD coming soon. Okay, let's see. What other suggestions do we have? Okay, will you be able to see your actual ship in front of you? This is another one that was asked a few times. It's like, I know, Descent, you had a big cockpit, but we're not in a cockpit. This is a drone, right? It's remotely piloted. But I see that there in the corners, you mentioned this to me earlier, in the corners there is a little bit of your ship.
A little hint, yeah. There's a little hint in the bottom corners of something, and so the idea is, I kind of, to go with the story and to sort of push the lore, put that in the forefront of the design, is that you're a drone. So a drone wouldn't have a cockpit or some sort of physical display.
No dashboard,
for information.
Sure, yeah.
So I tried to keep it sort of virtual, but I'm thinking of trying to bring some 3D elements from the ship around the I guess the periphery of the HUD.
Especially like the new auger concepts, which they haven't seen yet. Well, they might have seen them by the time this airs. Those would definitely have like a little bit of shadowing from the big nose on there.
I think one thing we talked about also is putting some like dirt around the edge to make it seem like that's a piece of glass that you're sort of seeing through, to give you more of an idea that this is a camera, and you're driving this drone.
The other limitation, of course, is that if we change noses constantly, how many of those are you going to build?
Yes, that is that is definitely a limitation.
But let me tell you, when I was working on Star Citizen, when the first time we put the fingerprint on the helmet, on the faceplate of the helmet, I spent my entire day playing the game trying to wipe that off, going, I just want to clean off my helmet! I would not be flying in these conditions. So don't smudge it too much.
All right.
That's all I'm saying, because I'm going to be rubbing at my monitor with a Kleenex going, why won't this come off? What's next on the suggestion list? Can we make the reticle bigger? It is kind of tiny, isn't it?
So actually,
Look at that tiny little train.
it is tiny. So actually, with the reticle, I was thinking that there would be some animation that would happen. So when you target it, a bad guy or even a good guy, an ally, something different would happen. Either it would transform or morph, letting you know that this is an enemy or this is a bad target or this is ore or mineral resource that you can mine. So so this would be the default state, and we could make it a little
Maybe
larger.
fluff it up a little.
Yeah.
Where you're pointing is the most important bit of information in
Yes.
the game, really.
Yes. And again, a lot of things will change once we start getting different environments in the game, so that when we fly around and we're like, oh man, the lights are totally blowing the reticle out. So what can we do to make it a little bit more readable for the user?
Cool.
So.
That's great. And the next one was, can we narrow those bars around the center a little bit, perhaps, so they take up even less of the view? I'm like, they're not too much in the way. But I don't know, maybe a little. That one, I would have to wait and see how it plays before I'd worry about it too much. I don't think that's going to distract you because it keeps your eyes focused right where they need to be, down the middle.
Yeah, I think, and again, with the last question, I feel a lot of these questions need to be answered in usability. And so
Absolutely.
the UI part of, or the U part of user, or of UI, the user interface part, is what we really need to, like, so, I mean, I can make a beautiful layout and I can put things where I think they should go and where they might work. But once we get into the game and actually get to play it and start moving around and having scenarios where we really test, what's going to happen, I think that's when, we put the rubber to the road, or I guess, what's the space? I don't know, a space.
now you're going to leave me stuck for words.
Thrusters
thrusters to the vacuum?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound very good.
No, it doesn't.
Oh my. All right. The last question that came up so far. I'm sure there will be more discussion after this one. Can we change the color of our HUD?
Yes.
See, look at that.
That
was easy. Didn't even have to twist his arm.
I can't promise that there'll be some sort of dynamic changing of the color, but I do plan, the way I plan to put it in the engine, there will be ways to change the color, and we can choose maybe 2 or 3 colors that work really well.
Yeah. We don't want something that's going to be invisible against the most of the maps.
Right.
So,
Yep.
black HUD, no, not going to happen.
Yeah, and then, I can't give away, I don't want to give away any, secrets or anything like that.
We give away secrets on this show all the time.
But in certain environments, we want to make sure that the HUDs read in every environment, and there might be environments that are, that might prevent green or
yeah, imagine a blue HUD in an ice level. That would probably be hard to see.
Yep.
So that if we let them tweak it at least in a couple of different colors, then maybe they can change it based on which environment they're in because it reads better to them in that environment. That's great.
Or maybe we dynamically change it depending on what sort of environment you're in.
Somebody will probably get mad about that. It's like I want it blue anyway. I don't care if I can't read it. So that's all we have for you today. Again, thank you for participating on the forums. Thank you for all your feedback.
Yes.
It's incredibly useful. Thank you, Michael Smith, for coming down.
Thanks for having me
at the last minute and joining the show. It's good to let them see the process that goes on behind all this. That's why designers have so much fun, because they get to talk to all these cool people all the time. It's not that we're doing any work. So I'm Rob Irving. I will see you next time.
Bye.